Now you go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, very good. So thank you guys for inviting me to come to our the meeting that we can mingle together and also ask some fantastic questions about IUL. Okay, so what I was we did a little 30 minutes talk, back a week, a few 2 weeks ago, I think. And then we had good feedback. And so we want to have a little bit more and in depth into IUL in terms of how to loan money, and also how the cost of the IUL structure, and also how does crediting, how is the IUL credit? And in fact, we're gonna structure today's talk into 3 sections. And these are the 3 sections that everybody should know about IUL when you presented it to anyone, okay? So as long as you master this 3, you should be able to talk about IUL with no problem. Before I start, can you type in your questions about IUL in the chat? Anything that you come to your mind that you want to ask, put it in the chat, and so I get to see them. Then when I'm going through my presentation, I can fit in your questions. I'll fit in the answers. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let me see the chat. Okay. Okay, so we have some questions about cost and why and how to properly structure. Okay. Continue, go on with your question, okay? Okay. Okay. So as we go along with the IUL big concept, we may not able to cover everything you want to know about IUL, but I can give you the biggest concept that you can share with people, okay? And usually when you talk about IUL, this is the 3 things. One is return and the floor. Why do we need to know this? Because one, people may question, okay, how is IUL protected? Why can you guarantee 0 floor? And how is the return goes? Okay, if the market keep dropping, can we make sure that we have a good return? Okay. 2, it all sounds good, but how much is the cost? How much is the cost? 3, I can save money here, okay, but can I take money out? If investment vehicle cannot take money out of it, then that is not so good of a vehicle at all. So we need to be able to use it. So we have to answer these 3 questions. So before we start, let's answer one of the questions. Says, why IUL, right? Okay. Any families, when they are managing their finance, there's 4 factors that they worry the most. One is, well, what if my money lost in the market, right? I want to make sure that I never lose money. 2, I want to make sure my money grows. 3, it has to have some kind of tax benefit. 4, I need to have flexibility in terms of overall structure of the product. And when can I take money out? And if we look at the market currently, where does people put their money? So before I know the field of financial industry, I am a research scientist. I have a neuroscience background. In my whole life, I studied in the school. I teach in the school. I really never touch any financial product. My husband plays some stocks. I put money in a bank and 401k. I have a little bit Roth because when I was in grad school, people told me you should put money in Roth. The very first question I have with money comes to 12 years ago when I have my first child. After my first child was born, I wanted to find a place for him to put money for education. So I walked down the street and I saw the first bank. I went to the bank and the bank told me 529. I studied a little bit about 529 and I decided, that's not for me. Because simply at that time, I told myself, I'm a PhD, my husband is a PhD, both of us are very smart. So maybe my son doesn't need financial aid, doesn't need money from, at all. Like he doesn't need money to go to school at all because he could get merit-based scholarship, free ride to college. Because I was so proud that, having my first child, I thought that, my son can get full scholarship just like I did. And then I decided, if I save money in the 529 account, I will lose that, I will lose the chance. So I would just, why do I need to save money if my kids are going to school for free anyway, because he's so smart, right? Funny things is, I also realized that if I save money, I should save it somewhere else because 529 is really limited to education. So I wanted to save money at somewhere so I can pay my son, going to college with a car or with a computer or with an apartment if he needs it. So I want something flexible. So 529 is out of it, is out of my equation. So if you look at the current
भोलि त्योसँग कुरामा कस्तो हुन्छ हैन त्यसले चाहिँ पर्सि बिहानतिर गभर्नमेन्ट दिन्छु कुरा गर्छु भन्यो भने ठीक छ हैन भने म आउँछु भन्छु कि
I'm sorry.
If you're not either way गर्न सक्छु नि त
you mute yourself. If you're not talking,
तर मैले बिहिबारलाई कुरा गर्ने एकदम मान्छे राखेको छु त्यही भएर अब हिँड्दा हिँड्दै कुरा गर्नु भन्दा बसेर कुरा गर्दाखेरि केही कुराहरु निस्किन्छ भन्ने
दुर्गाजी तपाईले प्लिज
Okay, Teressa, sorry. Unmute yourself, please. Teressa.
Okay, good. We good? Okay, yes. No problem. So so in the market right now, we have many different vehicles out there. The bank, owning a house, 401k, 403b, stock market, mutual fund, Roth, and 529. Let's list out what they can do and what they cannot do. So the bank, really not losing money. Houses not losing money. When I put a cross to it, it means they, this is what they are known for. Okay, if these are with the market, participated with the market, they do grow. However, they don't have. Some of them have tax savings, some of them don't. Okay, and in terms of flexibility, some of them do, some of them don't. Okay, if you look at the stock, it will lose money, and it does not have tax saving plan, and flexibility somehow I feel is a little bit misleading because when does people take out money from their stock? It's kind of interesting question. My family have some stocks from pharmaceutical company. We were the 10th employee of the company in South San Fran when we were there. We took some original stocks and they're pretty good at the time. We wanted to wait, and later on the company actually went public, and we got some They went on IPO and we got some money, but then we didn't sell it until many years later. My husband do need money for family back home in China. So we took out, we basically cash out the stock when we needed it for emergency. And regardless what price it was at that time, we had to. So a lot of time people take out money from stock is not because they perform very well. It's because emergency. Okay. And regardless the price, we had to do it. Okay. So there are some flexibilities in stocks, but maybe it's not the flexibility you like. Now, among all of these, what are good vehicles that has all four: never lose money, growth, tax saving, and flexibility? Out of this list, IUL is that one vehicle. Okay. Outside in the market, if you go out to any bank, go out and try to talk to a banker, a representative, any financial advisors. Ask them if they know about IUL. You might find out not many people know about it, even if they are professional. I have this conversation with my team member. Go and try to ask a banker, walk into a bank and try to ask somebody, I have children, how do I save money for children's education? I have certain needs, how are you going to suggest me for my retirement planning? How are you suggest me for this, for that? And so I realized, go with your SMD. I actually went with my, that was 5 years, 5 to 6 years ago, I went with my team member. Now she's MD. And I went with her and she was surprised what she found out. Okay, so go with your SMD and find out what it is that you're missing. Interestingly, people didn't know that when we are in the market, most of the institutional investment range like this. The US stock can give you about 10.2% in return, long-term wise. However, we are here, investors, individual investors, who is only receiving 2.6% average. We cannot compete with the institution. Also, if we talk about IUL strategy, we want to know how it is returned to us. So contractually guarantee that they do have a floor. So just simply speaking, right? 101, right? IUL 101. If you have an index return of 10%, your return is 10%. If your index is 20% in return, your cap is 13.75. That assuming your cap is 13.75, right? So you cap at that. If you have a negative 20%, for Transamerica, you have a minimum of 0.75, right? Okay. So this is how it look if you look at the index alone. This. So you referencing through index. Referencing through index. We are not directly participate. We are not directly participate. We are indirectly participate in the market. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can write it down. Directly participate, meaning that the money go directly into the market and dance with the market, go along with the market. If the market lost, you lost. The market win, you win. That's directly. The way that we credit you, we are indirectly participate by referencing the index. Okay. How does the IUL credit? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
We lost you for a while.
Okay, good. So am I back?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, for example, $100 put it in every single month. Okay, and every month you have $100. And now your cap is 11%. Let's see how the IUL credit you. That's, for example, January, I have a 10% change from, let's say this is 2021, this is 2022. Okay, so we have a 10% increase in this month, point to point. Remember, IUL have to go through the entire year on the 13th month. On the 13th month, you will see return. So your $100 plus the 10% return, which is $10, plus the $100 new money going in. So in this segment, you have 210. So considering a segment as a drawers, you have a cabinet of 12 drawers. Each drawers, you pull it out, you put $100 in, close the drawer and have the drawer grow. It will grow based on index return. And every year you take out the drawer and put more money in. Okay, now every month is slightly different. The next month, maybe the market goes down 0. The next month, maybe the market goes really well to 15, but we only cap at 11. So starting the 13th month, 13, 14, 15, and on, every single month, you're going to see something. And then compound interest after that. So people ask me this question. Well, how do you know the historical return, and how do you expect in long-term wise how the IUL will be performed? If you look at the every illustration, you can find this page. If you are Transamerica, you can find this page. In Nationwide, you can find similar to this as well. And for those of you who are licensed, you can run illustration, run the index calculator so that you can show historical data for Nationwide. Okay, so if you look at this in 20 years time, this is S&P 500 and 20 years look back. This is real data based on December 31st every single year. You can run IUL calculator in Nationwide and pick any month and run that. Okay, so this is an example for Transamerica. So if you look at every December 31st, some years are good, some years are bad. Okay, and let's say average wise is 4.02. This is historical data. Now, if you take the equation of a floor and a cap, you will see 7.36. Because when the market crash, you have 0.75. When the market goes up, you go up to the cap. How many years you actually hit the cap? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of 20 years, only 5 years hit the cap. Okay, so is cap really important? Sort of. But if we look at the historical data, it rarely hit the cap, right? Okay, so see, in average, long-term wise is 7.36. It's quite good. If I look at a global index, if I look at the global index, it is S&P, Euro, and Hang Seng. Okay. Hang Seng is always 20% in weight. And S&P and Europe depends on which one is better. Okay, depends on which one is better. This index get 50%. And the other one get 20%. So 30%. So 50, 30, and 20, right? So let's pick up a year. Let's say if Europe is winning, so this year Euro is winning, so Euro get 50%. And then S&P get 30%. Regardless what happened to Hang Seng is always 20% of the total weight. And then the return after it's weighted is 18.75, and it hit the cap is 15. Okay, so if you add it all, weighted index is only 2.69. But then if we apply floor and cap, I got a 7.94. Okay, why do I talk about return? Because IUL is not the most efficient investment rate of return vehicle. If we talk about rate of return, okay, many people tell me that, Teresa, I can find a vehicle better than this. Fine, perfect, okay, but that's not what IUL designed specifically for. Doesn't matter how much you gain in IUL, is tax-free. So if I want to talk about rate of return only, IUL may not be the only, it may not be the best product, okay? So it must be a combination of all three. Okay. People often ask, why does IUL have a floor? Do we all know about this? I just wanted to make sure. How many of you don't know about floor? How does the floor come about? In the chat, if you know how the floor come about, we can actually skip this. But if you don't, okay. We have some people, I see one says you don't know about floor. How do they protect the floor? How can they guarantee zero floor? Okay, some people say no, yes, some people say yes. Okay, so if this is the first time you heard about this, make sure that, if you don't get it, that's okay, do again with your SMD, okay? But I'm gonna explain this once, and then we have to move to the next topic, okay? Let's say you have $100 cash value. And how do they guarantee it? Is that 100 cash value, they separate into two pools. One pool is $95 and one pool is $5. Okay. Now, $95, they invested in corporate long-term bonds, which can be estimated to return interest annually to achieve a return back to $100. So if everything, if the $5 investment go wrong, I still have $100 go back there. For some of you may recognize this as general account. Okay. $5. Where does the $5 goes? If we are referencing in S&P, for example, they take the $5 goes to buy an option. They do a option call. And so what is option? A simple example. How many, raise of hand if you can, right? Use the button. Have you bought a coupon before? Like, have you used a coupon before? Go to a restaurant and you take, you have a coupon for $20, but then you have an expiration day of November 15th today. So if you don't utilize that coupon, the dollars you pay for the $20 coupon, you maybe pay $5 to get a $20 coupon for a discount on your meal. And if you didn't use it by November 15, you lost it because there's an expiration date. Okay, so simply saying that when the market goes up, you could exercise the right to gain the money. If the market goes down, you can say, you know what? I don't want to exercise it. I don't want to exercise my right. So I just lose my $5. So I can totally ignore this part. When I did that, I still have $100 back. Okay, so if the market goes up, I exercise my right, then I get earning. This is how life insurance company operates at the back end. Is your money, every day linked? Is your money like really linked it to an option? You wouldn't see how much money going to the option. All you see is in a contract, it tells you that it's referencing to the index you choose. So contractually, you will only see how it credits to you. You will not see how they operate the options. Make sense? If you have a bank account, okay, let's say you have a bank account. You have you have a bank account, you have $10,000 in. Every day you have that $10,000 sitting in your bank account. You can see it. You can use your ATM card to take it out. But that $10,000 in your bank account, they may be invested by your bank somewhere else. Do you know where they invested?
No.
No. But are they invested?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, very good. So that's all it matters. Okay, that's all it matters. Do not worry about, oh, the risk is high for options. I don't like options. Or, oh, what if the price for options go up or go down? What if the GA account didn't give me return? What if the GA account is not working exactly the way I want it? It's not our problem. Contractually, you only sign the contract basing on referencing the indexes. So when you have the $10,000 in your checking account, in your saving account, the bank take your money to do investment, but they guarantee you when you walk to the bank, you use your ATM machine, you can get the money out. That's a guarantee. Okay, so we're good, right?
Yes.
Now, that's saying based on history, right? Based on historical data, assuming I have a 13.75 as a cap and a floor is 0.75, how did the past 20 years treating us, right? It's from 2000 to 2020. So for example, right, the S&P going up and down, and we have some downtimes. But IUL, we don't lose money. Okay, because we protect the floor. So long-term wise, we have 7.2%. 7.2%. Now, people ask me, what if the market is flat or down? It looks good if the market goes up. But what if the market is flat or down. Let's say, where is our money right now? Most people put it in 401k, right? In the stock market, let's compare them. 401k goes up, your stock market goes up, 401k goes up. Stock market is flat, 401k is flat. Stock market goes down, your 401k go down with it. How about IUL? IUL, it seems like when the market goes up, I go up. When the market goes flat or down, I don't change. Is that true?
Yes.
Not necessarily. Okay, let's see. This is the power of zero. When the market goes down, it does not go down straight. It goes down fluctuating, goes down like this. You see, it's fluctuating down. So it doesn't matter if it goes up or down or flat. What does the market do every day? Fluctuation. There's sells, there's buy, there's in and out of the market. So you do fluctuate. The market fluctuates. Now, if I tell you, we bid on, the market goes up, you might win for 401k. If we're bidding for market goes down, that there are people saying, doesn't matter if the market goes up or down, I win either way. What if I tell you, you're betting on fluctuation? You're actually betting on market volatility. I bet on that. Doesn't matter how the market goes. As long as there's fluctuation, there's volatility, I go up. Okay. So with the IUL, doesn't matter where the direction goes with the market. We win always. Especially when the market goes down, you see the dramatic difference. You see the dramatic difference. How many of you knows, Japan's index? Shilendra, right? Shilendra? Okay. Hi, Shilendra. Good. Japan's market dropped since 1990 all the way until now. The worst 19 years in Japan. The market goes down. It's still going. Imagine if you live in Japan and you have money continue losing in the market. What if I have an IUL? I have a return of 3.54 versus a -7. Because I don't lose when the market goes down. You see that? So zero is
Hero.
zero. Make sense? Many people ask me the power of this zero. Let's make it into mathematics. Just counting numbers, okay? I have $500,000 in principal. When the market goes down 50%, when the market goes down 50%, how much do I have left? 250. 250K. If I put it in IUL, how much do I have? $500,000. Now, when the market goes back, does it goes back based on $250,000, based on the 250 for this market index? And then for IUL, I go back based on $500,000. So when the market goes up 20%, your 250K plus 50K, I have I have 300K. Okay. If I have IUL, I have up to a cap, right? I cannot do 20%, but I have a 12%, but 12% based on what? Based on a higher principal. Therefore, mathematically, I got more money.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it really depends on where that 20% is based off. And unfortunately, people don't look at it that way. A lot of people don't look at it that way. But if we come down to numbers, it's very it's clear, trivial. Okay. You know, when we fall into the hole, we're sitting there. Okay. You want to do this. Continue go up. You don't want to lose at all, right? So let's look at this. One last picture about of this protection. Let's say an example of 2018. Who remembers 2018? At the end of the 2018, the market dropped, right? So if you put money in early 2018 and calculate the rate of return at the end of the year, we lost 7%. What if I put it in IUL and separate it into 3 different indexes? Every single month, I have a segment. I put money in, I have a new segment created. So usually people ask me this, Teresa, when the market keeps going down, I've continued lose money in IUL. What if in IUL I have 0% return for consecutively 3 to 5 years? I'll be paying the cost, but no return. Is that a question, right?
Yep.
A lot of people ask that.
Yes.
Is it possible? Let's look at this. When we diversify on our index return, and every single month we put in new money into the segment. So means when we go into the market, we have a 12-month entry point. We have 12 entry points into the market, right? Ideally, you will have 12 if you do it monthly. Now, each month you have 3 index return. So total, it gives you 36 segments, 36 entry points to count your return. Now, if I do the average of 36 segments, my return is 9.89 versus I only have 1 point. Okay. If this whole thing is 0, how is that possible? For 2018, return to be 0, all 36 segments return has to be 0, all of them. I'm not a statistician, but I can calculate, right?
Mhm.
What's the percentage? What's the possibility of that 36 segment or 0? Very small.
Very small.
Very slim. Did I answer that question? Okay.
You did.
Okay. So are we clear on the return?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Now we move on to cost. What is cost? I need to make sure that we all agree on a terminology before I start. Premium. What is premium? Can anyone answer me? What is premium?
Amount of money you paid every month or every year.
The amount of money we pay
Every month or every year.
every month or every year. Okay. Is premium cost? Is
No,
It's
cost?
it's
No,
a saving in IUL.
it's a saving. Very good. Very good. A lot of people were confused. Premium does not equal to cost of insurance. Okay, so let's talk about cost of insurance. Insurance unit times the number of units that I buy and the price I buy will give me the cost. So based on the cost, what are the factors that involve? Age, right? 2, health. 3, gender. 4, risk amount. Meaning how many units I'm buying. Unit in insurance, 1 unit is $1,000. So if I buy 500,000, how many units I have?
500.
500. Very good. And it depends on the price of the unit. It comes to the cost. Okay, so we're pretty good with that, it seems. Okay, so we're good. We have how do we calculate the net risk? Is the total death benefit minus the money that we put in, the cash value we have, total. So look at the deeper blue part. It's called the pure insurance. This is where if by any given time point, if we pass away, insurance company have to cut off with that difference, right? If I die right here, this is the cash value I have. Insurance company have to come up with the rest of the money. So that is the risk I'm transferring to the insurance company. How much is that? We have to calculate based on this equation. Okay, the unit of the net risk, and then times the price based on this to give you true cost of insurance. There's 2 ways to calculate the pure risk. The pure risk, the risk in between, the gap. Okay, there's two ways that life insurance are structured. One is called level, one is called increasing. Level death benefit, meaning in a green, this line right here, let's say I buy 500,000, I will always have 500,000 until I enter into corridor. 7702 law tell me that there is a corridor that I have to follow. There's a particular ratio. If you do not know what is the ratio of these, what is this all about, you can go to Cornell Law School. If you Google IRC, Internal Revenue Code 7702, just Google that. Don't just Google 7702. Google IRC 7702. Cornell Law School will pop up as one of the link. It should be the top of the link. That will tell you what is the corridor about. Okay, I won't go into too much details on that because we won't be able to sleep tonight. Okay. Okay, so 500,000 death benefit will go up after you enter the corridor. Okay. Now, if you see the cash, why is that? Because the cash value is pushing it. You have cash value continue to grow, your death benefit continue to go up when you enter the corridor. The gap, you see the gap is smaller and smaller. Therefore, the risk unit you are buying, the pure risk unit you're buying smaller as we age. So if we are looking at level death benefit, option 1, we are focusing on this: family protection at early age and wealth protection at later age. Okay. If you have an increasing death benefit, it means I don't care about cost. Hit me, right? I don't care about cost. Look at that gap. Doesn't matter how old I am, that gap is still remain the same, constant risk amount. Therefore, I pay more in cost of insurance. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, who should buy an increasing death benefit? People who are focusing on this. Okay. Go back to your SMD to discuss about this, because the way everybody is structured your policy, it may fit your culture, it may fix your, the way that you brought up, not necessarily option 1 is better or option 2 is better. Okay. Some people really care about the cost. Some people don't. Okay. So discuss with your SMD to find out which way is the better design. And bear in mind, you could have changed between the two. You could start with increasing and then later change to level. Or you start with level and change to increasing. However, when you do option 1 to option 2, you might need new physical to be done. You might need to have a physical checkup depending on the age, depending on how the health has been. Okay, because for insurance company, increasing death benefit is a risk. We good? Okay. Now let's take a look of an example. Age 41. This case is age 41, and then that's due a premium for 5 years. And let me see the columns. From column D to G. Okay, from D to G. All of these are cost. H is the added of the cost. And I is the gain from the policy. J is how much taxes we're saving, how much tax we're saving by having this gain. Okay. If I have this gain outside of 7702, I have to pay tax, and that's how much I'm paying tax, assuming 30% in tax. Okay, 30%. Now, let's put the cost together and see what it means to us. Look at this column D. I only have 5 years of charge for column D. And for column F, I have only charges for 10 years. For column G, I have charges all year long, every year. For column E, I have 120. It didn't change at all. Okay, 120 forever. I want to talk about each one of them, but if you didn't get it the first time, that's fine. You can go always review that. Okay, let's take one at a time and talk about them. Cost of insurance, we just mentioned, based on that 4-factor, right? Based on that 4-factor: age, gender, health, and risk amount. So you see the cost of insurance is increasing throughout the years. No problem, right? Some people will tell me, well, Teresa, look at this. You are decreasing over here. Why is that? Because this is a level design. So the difference between the cash value and death benefit is smaller and smaller. Therefore, the unit price, the unit you're buying is smaller and smaller. Make sense?
That's the net unit calculations. That's
Yeah.
what is making this smaller.
Yes, yes. Because your cash value is catching up.
Mhm.
So your unit is smaller and smaller. The unit price, the unit, individual units is, you take half a million minus 334, right? Every year, the unit you're buying are reducing. The units you're buying are reducing. So therefore, you might see changes in cost of insurance. Okay. Because as we age, we always get more expensive. This is one question people always ask. Is it true? Is it true that the older we are, the more expensive life insurance is? What do you think?
Yes.
Not really.
Look at this, right?
It shows it is not.
Okay. So usually when people ask me this, I will say, it depends on what it is you are looking at. And the answer could be yes and no. Right?
Yeah.
If we're just looking at if we're looking at the same risk amount that we're purchasing, the older we are, we should be more expensive. But if we structure the product, if we structure it a certain way, so that the amount of unit we purchase is less, then it will be cheaper. Because we're talking about cost, pure cost, not the premium, the cost. Okay. I hope that answers question for that.
Yeah, there was a one question where it says, what is a PUC? Is that a per unit cost?
Per unit cost, yes.
And that is only till 10 years?
Only until 10 years, yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's the next thing I want to talk about, right? So PUC, per unit price, right? Per unit cost. So you have a certain ratio on your contract. It should show a table on your contract. And it shows up how much it is cost maximum for per unit price. And they calculate it based on the time, the time that I purchased the product. So if this person is 41 years old, right? They purchased at 41, so they calculate a price for it. They only charge you for 10 years. After 10 years, no more. Why?
Is it because of the cash accumulation?
Cash surrender charge?
Okay. The surrender charges, yes, that's one. Yes, that's one thing. I will also, here is several ways to describe this. Okay. One, we do have a surrender charge for 10 years. And the surrender charges disappear at 11 years, right? So if you look at this, the cash surrender value is the same as your cash value by 10 years. Doesn't matter how much you put in before, it will always get even by then. But does it really matter? We buy this policy for life, right? For the entire life of ours. We really don't care about surrender charges at the first 10 years. It's just like planting a tree. You put a seeds in. You don't want to dig the small trees out by 2 years, 3 years down the road. You want to have the fruits in 10, 20 years down the road, right? So usually the first 10 years, we don't want to touch it. Or if you want to touch it, I will show you later. I actually have an 8-year policy, and I most recently, May this year, I took some money out. So I'll show you how that works, okay? Look, after 10 years, no more payment. How I like to describe this way. Okay, you have a policy that you want to hold for lives. Do you want to continue to pay this PUC when you are 70, when you are 80? Do you want to pay it?
No.
No, you don't. Me neither. Does the insurance company want to collect money all the way? Actually, no. Insurance company said, this is the early period. The first 10 years is the most dangerous time for insurance company. Why? If anyone died in the first 10 years, they have to cough up a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
It's early death risk for insurance company. So look at this, right? The difference between these two is a lot. It's a lot. So does the insurance company, this risk is a lot to them? Do they like it? No, they don't like it. They wanted to collect the fees ahead of time. They want to collect the fees ahead of time. So they use the first 10 years to do that. And more likely, the chances of us dying in the first 10 years is smaller, right? So really, I'm worried about here, and they are worried about here. So, right? So I would rather to pay that, right? I would rather to pay in the first 10 years. Okay, now, the 120 is always 120. It's always 120, just like you maintain the bank account, right? So it's per year, 120 per year. As long as you have the policy open, you have it, okay? What is the premium charge? Some of you probably purchase stocks, and so you probably know what is front load, okay? Front load. You can consider that as a front load. Some people will consider that as a state tax. It's usually about 6%, 8%, 4%, depending on the product you're looking at and the years you're looking at, okay? As long as I put in premium, I have to pay this. Insurance company does not really earn a lot through here. Insurance company earn money through here, through PUC, okay? This insurance company basically take the money in and then turn it to the state government. They do have to pay for the examining nurse. They have to pay the agent through premium charge, okay? But then they have to also pay the state government some taxation, you can quote unquote tax, so that the state government can guarantee through the Insurance Guarantee Association. Okay, how many of you have questions about what if insurance company go bankruptcy? Anyone? What if insurance company went bankruptcy?
No.
We're good? I don't have to explain that, right? Okay, so this is one mechanism. How does the insurance company contribute to the state so that the state will have the Insurance Guarantee Association? Okay. If you look at the cost and the gain, we only really focus on the first 10 years, because after that, your gain is tremendously increased. So if you do the cost ratio, take the cost divided by the cash value, then you see that down the road, I have very little cost compared to the first 10 years. So if people ask me, Teresa, give me a range of how much the insurance cost is in percentage. Long-term wise, about 1, right? Long-term wise, all the way, about 1. But in the beginning, yes, a little bit more. So if you talk about cost, it's like compare it to buying a house. The first 10 years that I'm owning this IUL, I have to pay quite a bit. And the green bar is the gain. It didn't come as much at the beginning. If you pull it out, the cost is linear. The cost is linear, but the gain on the interest is compounding, and it is exponentially compounding. So it's very similar to a house. You buy a house and you pay mortgage, right? So Shiram, the mortgage that you put it in, go into a house, it will give you the equity. At the end, you own the house totally, right? So how many years is my mortgage?
30.
30 years. So it takes 30 years to own this house. Does it take 30 years to own an IUL?
No.
No. We devoted to the IUL for like 10 years. Basically, I only give 10 years of guarantee. The insurance company have to guarantee me for life, right?
That's right.
I cannot find a better deal than this. Not even marriage,
Huh.
right?
Do
So
we compare though? No.
you see, imagine that, how many years I have to be, responsible for my house. I cannot miss a payment at all. I cannot miss a single payment to my mortgage. And yet I can miss a payment for IUL. Like to see the cost, or you want to hide away the cost? A lot of costs are invisible. We just never calculate it. So taxes, tax, risk, time, wrong decision, these are all invisible, but they cost a lot. And people normally get really scared when they can see the cost. Right? You get to see your cost, and it's bright and clear, but I refuse, and I'm so scared of it. But those are invisible is even worse. Now, let's talk about how to use it. Generally, the cash value can be loaned out after the first year. I say January. If not all cash value can be loaned, not all cash value can be loaned out. Remember, we have surrender charges, right? Remember, you have to keep some money in there. So let's take a look at how the loan works. You have an insurance company which has your cash value that you put it in $200,000. I want money. I want $50,000. I want to loan it. Let me ask this question, right? Why do I want to loan my money? Can I use an ATM machine, just take money out? Can I withdraw it? Can I?
Not from the insurance. Not from the IUL account.
Not from IUL account? Do I have other answers?
You can withdraw your money from the cash value.
You can withdraw?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So,
But if you withdraw money, you have to pay tax, right?
okay, very good. So when do I withdraw and when do I loan?
Oh, I see. That's a question. Well, you withdraw from your, as long as you haven't made the premium amount what you have paid, then you loan out for the gain.
Okay. Now, I have a choice. I can withdraw and loan. Why do I prefer loan?
Tax saving.
Tax. Okay. Many people online, maybe this is the first time you heard about this. Loan in the United States, tax-free. You don't have to pay tax for that. You have a mortgage, you borrow, let's say my house, I borrow $900,000, for example. Do I have to pay $900,000 in income this year?
No.
Do I have to report it? No, it's a loan. Okay. If I loan $50,000 for a car with a car loan, I don't have to report that as income. So anything that was a loan, you don't have to report as income. Now, if you have a car loan, what is your collateral that you are against for? Your car.
Car.
You have a house, you have a mortgage. The house is your collateral you're against for. You have a credit card. What is that you are collateral for? The credits of yours.
Credit.
Right, the credits. So insurance company also need collateral. The collateral is your cash value.
Mhm.
So if I want to borrow $50,000, I have the insurance company say, yes, I'm gonna loan it to you. And I do have to charge you for interest because it has to be shown to the IRS, to everybody, that this is a loan.
Yeah.
So I cannot give you for free. I have to charge you something. However, the collateral that you have can actually gain 2.25. In this case, this is a traditional loan. Okay, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you have there's two different loans that people can take. One is traditional, one is alternative, and I will not touch alternative one today. Okay, but when you come to loan, I recommend everybody take traditional loan. So that say your traditional loan with a interest rate of 3, and then in the first 10 years, 1 to 10 years, and then your interest credit is 2.25. So what exactly you have?
0.75.
0.75. If after 11 years, you have 0,
Mhm.
right? Okay, now let's put it into perspective. When I want to return the loan, I have $50,000 that I want to return, include that 1,500 for interest. And then I also receive 1,125 for the collateral 2.25% credit. Now, I only cost $375 to utilize that $50,000. Okay, where can I get a loan like this without life insurance?
That's right.
I don't think my mom will even give me this. Okay, so let's see an example. This is my client. Jean and I service this client. Jean is on the line with my SMD. We serviced this client back in 2017. November 2017, she opened an account. She declared a loan 2.5 years later, in April 2020. By the way, she has investment house. This is an investment house that she's fixing up. She want to sell that house, right? So she borrowed the money to fix up the bathroom. And in 2 months, right? In July, she sold, she returned a loan. She returned $113.28. This is the interest charge. At the same day, insurance company returned her $87. So net, she has spent $25.85 for this transaction. Okay, Any questions so far? Good.
It's clear.
Now, this is her statement. This is from Nationwide. And this is the statement, right? So this is a loan, this is loan payment, right? And that's the interest, right? Okay. Now, we educate her very well. So she continued to use this money, this pool of money from her life insurance account to borrow money. She borrowed again in 2021, declare a loan again. Okay. At the same time, she's always never stop, continue to contribute the premium. She knows this account is where she can get money in and out easily. Okay. So in October 2021, she loaned again, right? Okay. Okay, so before I go to the next part of the presentation, do we have any questions so far about loans?
Doesn't seem
I wish it's good. Okay. I will show you my own account so that you get to understand how it goes in the past 8 years for my account. Okay. So let's see. This is my first policy. This is my first policy. This is me. That's my Chinese name. This is my son, Nathan. When I purchased his, he was only 4. He's 4 years old, and we both actually at the time he had $250,000, and then later on I have my second baby, and I increased his policy to $500,000 because his new brother has $500,000. I cannot be unfair, so I have to increase both of them to $500,000. This is my first policy out of 10 policy I own. My family has 4, my husband and I have 2 kids, 12 and 5 right now. And then I have in-laws living with us. And I have my mother and my sister. My sister is 17 years younger than me. So when she first owned her policy, she was 17 years old. Okay, so we have 8 people and we have 10 plus policies, 10 IULs, and then 5 the rest of the accounts are annuities. Okay.
Was
that a question?
Yeah, he was not.
Teresa, sorry, you can unmute yourself, please.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now 2014, I own my first policy. This is me. Okay, so this is Transamerica policy. If you look at this, the target premium they suggest me to do is $3,990, and I do kind of a little bit more than that. So 5,000 roughly for the first 3-4 years. And then I started to put in more after 5th year because WFG, I earned some money. Okay. So I have extras to put in. When I first purchased the policy in my mind, I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to treat this as my retirement plan. Okay. And then, so if I'm putting in $5,000 for my Roth, I should put it in here too. So I just moved my Roth money to here. Simple as that. I didn't, I didn't starve myself with this for this policy. Okay. I didn't change my lifestyle. Okay. So now, throughout the years, I sometimes needed money more. Sometimes I can save more. So something good about this is I can change the premium. I can change if I want to put more, 5,200, I want to put less, 4,900, you know, every month I go in, sometimes I change it, sometimes I don't. So it's flexible for a small family like ours. Our in-laws needed money sometimes, our family back home needed money sometimes. You might know some Chinese family, you know, calling you for money, you know, back home. You probably heard that stories too. So we have that too. Whatever happens in, you know, in everybody's house, it happens in my house too. I'm just like everybody else. I needed that flexibility, and IUL give me that. Okay. This is 2022 for July. So anniversary, July 15. So if you look at the most recent statement, July 2021 to July 2022. So the whole year, I put it in extra premium is $10,500 for this policy. This policy started out 2014, so 8 years, right? And then now, by the beginning of 2021, $1,000 in a cash account, right? In a cash value, $63,000. With this amount, it gave me a interest credit of $4,977. It's almost $5,000 in credit. Remember, I'm still in the surrender period. Transamerica surrender period is 15 years for my policy. So if you take this, right, my cost of insurance, you see the monthly deduction, it means 12 months total, 12 months total. Added together, I have 1,464 as my cost, right? So now look at the 4,977 divided by $63,000, I have a gain of 7.8. July 15 to July 15 is a crazy year. It's like it never exists. The first half a year, you grow perfectly, and then the next half a year disappeared. Okay, so it's like this year never exists. Imagine if I have this money, I'm paying tuition. Okay, if I have a magic wand and I earn this money in the stock market, I have to pay tax. So if I pay taxes, $5,000, you know, roughly times 30%, 1,493 is what the tax I should be paying. So the same amount of money, should I pay cost of insurance to give my family a $500,000 policy protection? Or should I pay taxes? Or should I pay tuition? If insurance is free, do you want it? How about this? Better yet, let IRS pay for me. Okay, so this is my roof. This is my house, by the way. I recently relocated, so 2021, I relocated to Massachusetts. I used to live in Connecticut. I bought a new house. However, the house is not so new. The house is 26 years old, 26 years, and it's about to change the roof. And the previous owner didn't change it. I have to change it. So once I moved in, I changed the roof. This is my son, my 5-year-old son, and I changed the roof that day. That was May 2022, early this year. Okay. Honestly speaking, at that time, I don't have the $20,000 I need to change the roof, because we moved in 2021 during the summertime, and we spent too much money in moving. So we don't have cash flow that month. But the roofer need cash. So I go to my life insurance. I go to my life insurance account. This is me, my second life insurance account. I bought a $1 million IUL from Nationwide. And, a few years later, since 2014, I got a $500,000. In 2016, I got another $1 million, right? So you see, look at the loan I take out. So I took out $20,000. I submit the form May 3rd. I got the money May 5th into my bank account. And look at the charge for that month. Just happened to be May 5th is my anniversary day. Just happened to be that May 5th is my anniversary day. So you see that they ended up with my statement. This is how much it took for me. So you see the charge is 4.19 and the credit is 3.24. Who can do the math?
$0.05.
It get me through the month. It get me through it. If I'm looking at Nationwide's policy statement for that May, okay, you see that in the previous years, your policy weighted average index interest credit rate is 8.82. Pretty good, right? Yeah. Okay. For the year of 2021 to 2022 May, this is the average credits. So I put some money in a fix, I put some money in S&P point to point, and some in the multi-index, and total allocation return is 7.4 for this year. In the past, since 2016 until now, average return is 8.82. Why do I buy this policy after that $500,000? Because I needed long-term care. So to answer the earlier question that people put it in the chat, why do I need IUL? Why IUL? I needed long-term care. One of the reasons is my grandmother got a stroke when I came here to study the very first year. I landed in the United States and she got stroke back home.
Sorry to hear that.
And she can no longer talk. She can no longer react. She was vegetable at that time. She survived another 5 years. She passed away 5 years later. During those time, I'm here studying and I lived with her my entire life. And I keep thinking how difficult it is for my mom. My mom is the primary caretaker and she is one of the 5 children my grandma has. And she's a nurse. So I think somehow automatically everybody thinks she should take care of her. So I'm alone in the US, very first year when this happened. And I told my mom, I want to make sure that I'm healthy. So you don't ever need to take care of me. I know long-term care is not just for the old people. Long-term care is needed for everyone on any age. In fact, college kids, they should have it. Yeah. So I have seen a lot of people come down to needing long-term care. When they come and knock on my door and say, Teresa, can I have long-term care? Can you apply for me? Usually it's too late.
That's where they want more bigger policy amount, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually when they come and ask for long-term care, something has already happened.
Yeah.
And I have seen it. So in age 35, I got my first I got long-term care through Nationwide. this is not my first long-term care policy because Transamerica has long-term care as well. So in age 33, I have my first IUL with long-term care. Second long-term care policy is this one, age 35. Total together 1.5 mil. And I don't think it's enough. So later on, I have more policies. The truth is, I want to utilize the money anywhere in the world. And the informal care for nationwide is what I really desire for. So I started out with this $1 million with nationwide informal care, especially if I want to go home and have somebody take care of me at home, right? If I go back to Asia, go back to China, go back to Taiwan, somebody there can take care of me. I don't have to go to a nursing home. I can hire a Filipino or whatever people come to take care of me, right? So I used to, my mom's business used to do that. She usually, her previous job was to import labor to Taiwan. And so I have seen that happen for my grandma. We have to hire somebody overseas so that my mom does not need to miss a day of work. I think maybe one day I would need that. So this is why long-term care, why IUL. I hope this has been helpful.
Yes.
Okay, so let me see the chat. Okay, I think let me go up a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Is there any other question I haven't answered? Let's see.
There was a question from Gajendra where he said, how this month to month compared to point? I think when you were showing the segment, the 12 segment, that's where he had a questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how, let me go back here. So segment questions. Okay, this slide, right? Okay. Okay. When we do monthly segment, it means every month we put in, like in a PowerPoint, every month we started to put in $100 each. In a regular investment vehicle, non-IUL, right? So you put it in, let's say you put it in a stock market. If you put in $100 this month and you wanted to cash out next month, you will see the difference right away. Make sense? Right? So monthly return. If you put in $100 and then next month you go and sell whatever you invested in, then you have a difference between the 2 months. Okay. And then if you wait, if in IUL, we talk about point to point, it means this point to this point. It means, let's say the index, just random number, okay? So if that's 1,000 in the stock market, here it is 1,100, right? So it's a 10% point to point difference. Point to point, that's the technical term. Point to point difference in 12 months, the same date. So if it's nationwide, you always enter your segment on the 15th of the month, always for nationwide. So January 15 to January 15 is called the point to point. So people may ask the same, the question, say, okay, monthly, do I get, monthly return for IUL? Well, technically it's not monthly return, it's yearly, but you get to see every month's segment mature after the 13th month. Does that answer the question?
So you're saying that there's a segment from February to February, segment from March to March,
Mhm.
segment from April to April.
Mhm.
That's how it goes. But I was kind of understanding that how index works. Like, so in January, if the index is 10%, you may get a 10%. In February, if it goes down, then you may lock into 0%. Is that how it works or not?
You always referencing back to the February a year ago.
Okay.
Okay, so the market may goes like this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that, right? So let's say point to point for January. And then let me change another color. February is this versus here. Make sense?
Right. Okay.
And then March is here versus here. So point to point.
And then they do average after.
Okay, so it depends on how your structure, it depends on how your index is chosen. If you do multi-index average, if you have a policy, the original IUL from nationwide, okay, you will get an average. It's a multi-index average. But if you do different index choices, they credit you differently. Okay, so that's a specific question for providers.
Got it. I think hopefully that Gajendra got answer of it. Gajendra, sir?
So Teresa, does it compound monthly or yearly?
So it compounds based on the same segment. So your segment can mature yearly.
Okay.
Your segment mature yearly. You have another segment here, January, right? The same, so the cabinet, look at the cabinet, you have 12 drawers. Okay, this drawer opens every January. This drawer opens every February. And then it compounds within every January. It compounds every February. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's compound interest on every month, but you don't get matured until a year later. But at the end of your statement, you see the sum of the interest gain. In your statement, you see the statement I give to you, my own statement.
That's
That is the total gain, the $5,000. The $5,000 gain is from every segment add up together.
Mm-hmm.
Pure gain, right? It does not consider as the principal yet. The 5,000 will become principal for the next year.
Next year, yep.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
Talking about, sorry. So Teresa, you talking about the interest crediting? They look at the back of last year, right? Not of this year.
Can you repeat the question again?
about interest crediting, like from this point to point, January to January. So they look at back what happened last year, January,
Yes.
not this year, January, right?
Yes. So January 2022, you want to compare to January 2021. So
They look at what happened on January 2021. What was the S&P at that time? We get credited according to that, right?
So the difference between the two January, yes, the difference between the two January. So if the market goes
Right.
up, right, you have 10%. If the market goes down, you have 0. So you have to check every so if it's January drawer, you check January. If it's February drawer, you check February. So do you know, have you ever tried yahoofinance.com?
Mhm.
Okay, you can validate that. Go to yahoofinance.com, key in S&P 500, pull the historical data out, match it with your return from your own IUL. It will work, guarantee. It will work on that. If you have a nationwide, it's on the 15th. If you have Transamerica, it depends on when is your anniversary date. If every month of the 6th, you have to check on every month of the 6th.
Awesome. Very detailed, Teresa. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I don't want to make you guys stay late. I have more to talk about, but I think it's enough for today.
Teresa, I just have one question regarding that loan that you showed before.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't question that time. When I see your policy of your client, you borrowed her loan out in 2021.
Mhm.
And again, she put back the money in
Yes.
2021. Does IUL let the client or the policy holder to put their money back, like pay out the loan the same year they take out?
Anytime. Anytime you want to put it back, welcome, do it. Do it. Yeah. If you want to put it back the next day, go ahead and do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So here is the thing. You can try it.
Right.
You can try it. How many
So,
of you
but
take
for
money
that,
out
I need
before?
to have cash value first, to
Okay.
try it out.
Yes, you're right. So let me tell you a story, okay? We have some time for that, right? Okay. So let me tell you something. I have a client open a policy 4 years ago. He is target funding. His target premium is 3,000-ish a month, a year, 3,000-ish a year. And he continues to put in 4 years as target premium. Okay. He's a medical school student. When I first met him, he is working part-time and he doesn't have that much of an income, but he managed to save $3,000 a year. Now he's on his residency and he has always been studying. He has no clue of what's outside. One day he called me up because he got a car wreck. Somebody hit him from the back. And he actually didn't know this is other people's fault. He was totally shocked. And when the police come interview him, he cannot say a word. So the other person come and the other person the car hit him says that is his fault.
Oh.
So somehow, somewhere, things go really ugly. We have no idea. Like when I heard this phone call, I was like really hard to understand. But then how can a person hit you and say it's your fault, right?
That's right.
But it did happen, and it seems like the situation got worse. Is the entire car went total. So he's a medical school student. He has no income, obvious income. He only works during the summertime, and he saved every penny into his IUL because I educated him that way. You know what? It saved him. He didn't have a car for a while. He walked to school. It's coming winter time. He cannot do that anymore, right? He called me about and said, Teresa, I have about $11,000 in the account. Can I get some money out like you did? Can I get some money out so I can buy a used car? I said, well, okay, let's take a look. He actually went and called nationwide. And the customer service told him that he can borrow out, he can loan out $3,500. He has to keep $7,000 each as surrender, a surrender cash value. He has to maintain that 7,000 there. But he can take out 3,500. And he said, Teresa, it's a godsend because that's all I need. That's all I need to get a secondhand car. I already know what I'm getting, and that's about that range. And God knows that I needed it. He is a medical student, medical school student. He does not have income doing his medical school residency. And if he's actually a immigrant from Africa. So his family is not there. None of them are here. Nobody can loan him any money. Nobody can give him any cash. Life insurance can. So.
Awesome. Great story.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So you have to maintain some surrender charges. So don't worry about it. Call it and ask how much is your surrender charges, right? You want to maintain that. They will tell you how much you can borrow out. And remember, I asked him specifically, you have to continue to save $300 a month. And he said, yes, he can do it. Okay, so saving and, having a loan at the same time go parallel, okay?
So check and balance should be maintained for IUL then.
Yeah, there is always a balance. Especially with money. I have clients who have student loan. This client has student loan, and it was quite big of a student loan. When I got to know this client, he's a musician, and he spent a lot of money living in Boston while he pursuing his music degree. And that's exactly what happened. Like he got some free tuition to go to school, but then he cannot get free money living in Boston. Right? So he actually borrowed a lot of money for living expenses. And many years go by, he got accumulated a lot of interest. And he said, I have a big student loan. I wanted to pay it out. I wanted to have saving as well, but it doesn't seem possible. So I started out the plan IUL with him. I said, do you want to see the end of the tunnel with a light on it? I asked him that. Do you want to drive a car toward the end of the tunnel and not seeing any lights? Or you want to see a light at the end? If you want to see a light at the end, pay your debt and saving at the same time. the same 20 years went by. 20 years down the road, you will have get down your debt and with a sizable saving. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're just saying that leave it small when you can, then it'll be better to leave it bigger when you can. So
Okay. So these are some of the typical lives that we see around us. People buying IUL, they are not super rich. People around me, we are average people. We save from $300 a month to $300 to $400 a month is what I can afford when I first started. I'm a scientist. I work in a pharmaceutical company. We have, my husband and I both are scientists, research and development. We have good income, we have a good house, but we can save only at that time, including my policy and my son's policy when I first started, $450 a month. And I started out anyway. Sometimes I can have more, sometimes I can less. My kids' policy is $100 a month, right? To start with. And then my policy is $350 a month to start with. And then I got more as my business goes. Okay. So if I can do it, you can do it.
like that. Coach.
Okay. Good. So we have only 2 minutes left. I'll have Rudolph close up.
Yeah, we should have a one whole day book. Looks like you have tons of information, and which is great information. So